Hi, I am attorney LaTonya Askew, and I am the featured woman for the February 2024 issue of the Bold Maven magazine.
What schools did you attend?
I attended Georgia Southern University, where I received a Bachelor's of Art in Political Science and a minor in Africana Studies. I went on to pursue my master's degree at Troy State University, where I received a master's in public administration with a minor in public personnel management, and I attended Rattler Nation, Florida A&M College of Law, where I received my Juris Doctorate degree.
Prior to entering law, you worked at the CDC. What was that experience like?
Well, to be honest, I was not happy. I loved working at CDC, but it was not my calling. It was more of a 9-to-5 where I was a program analyst, and I sat at a job for 8-9 hours, playing on a computer, doing something that I did not like. Law was calling me. I've always wanted to be an attorney since I was 7 years old. And working at CDC, I more or less worked there to get a paycheck bi-weekly, and that was it. I didn't have a urge to be there, but you know, I'm now in the law field, the legal field, and that's where I'm happiest the most.
Can you take us through the transition from program analyst to attorney?
Leaving the CDC back in 2006, I prepared to go to law school by taking some LSAT courses. Once I took the LSAT a couple of times, I went ahead to apply to a couple of law schools. I was granted admissions into Florida A&M College of Law. When you ask Taylor, what was the transition like? It wasn't really a transition. I was just happy to leave CDC and to go and pursue my goals of becoming an attorney. Now, moving to Orlando, Florida, where the College of Law is, we all know that Florida A&M, it's in Tallahassee, but the College of Law is in Orlando, Florida. That was adjustment in regards to leaving Georgia. Moving to a whole new city, that was an adjustment. I had to meet friends. I didn't have any family, but once entering into law school, anyone that will tell you that has actually attended law school will tell you that the friends that you meet while pursuing your law become your family. It's a rigorous study. You don't have that much time to spend with any significant others or really any other family members. So your classmates, they ultimately become your family. And that was the huge adjustment that I had to get used to.
For those who aren't aware, can you explain what the bar is and how it feels to pass it?
Oh, wow. The bar test. Well, let me just say this. You spend 3 to 4 years in law school. And the only thing that I will ultimately say that the bar test that you've learned in law school are your writing skills. Other than that, the bar, you are given multiple choice questions. They call them multi-state questions. And then you're also giving exam questions having to do with the state where you ultimately want to practice law. You're giving questions for you to answer, multi-choice questions in regards to the law, in regards to different legal situations that you may have to come across while practicing the law. Then the last part of the law exam has to do with your writing skills. What happens with the bar is they will give you a word analysis where you have to break down the case. More or less, how would you proceed with the case? What are the legal issues in the case? And they more or less call it the IRAC method. So you have to identify the issue. You have to identify the rule of law. So what rule of law does this case have to do with? And then you have the A part, which is the analysis, and then you have the conclusion. And that was the biggest part of the bar exam for me, is doing the writing part. I know when I took the bar exam, you could either do the writing version or you could actually use your laptop. Now, I will be honest with you, it took me 2 times to pass the bar exam. The first time I did, I wrote out my response. And I had a lot of anxiety, which I'm sure future attorneys do have. But the second time that I had to take the Georgia bar, I did use my laptop. You asked, how did I feel to finally pass the bar? It was excitement. If anyone has ever seen Fantasia on American Idol and she won and she sang that last song, and I can't think of that song, that's how I felt. It was all glory to God. This was my dream. I had worked towards this dream really since I was 7 years old. I've always wanted to be an attorney, and to finally say I am an attorney, not a lawyer, because you're a lawyer once you graduate from law school. You're an attorney once you pass the bar. And I can come out and say, I'm finally an attorney. I'm an attorney. You know, you have folks that, you know, when they're in high school and someone says, what do you want to be when you grow up? And the person will say, I don't know. I don't know. I've always known I wanted to be an attorney. So to sit in the office from 9 to 5 and to work on a computer, I was uninterested, I was bored, but to finally say, I am a lawyer, I can go out and do what I want to do, practice whatever type of law, I can be financially stable, but the biggest part is it's not the money. I can wake up and enjoy what I do every day. You can make a lot of money, but you may not enjoy what you do. And for me, I love being an attorney.
What led you to start your own firm?
Before starting my firm, I worked for 2 solo practitioners. Ultimately, those folks, solo practitioners are folks that they don't necessarily have a law firm. They are solo. And I worked for 2 gentlemen, and I learned so much from them. I learned criminal law, I learned personal injury, and I also learned family law. And I just decided, I don't know, I decided that I wanted to open up my own firm. I wasn't being paid a lot. I didn't necessarily care about the pay. I just wanted to learn. There were times that I would sit in the courtroom before I even passed the bar, and I would have my legal pad and I would just take notes, take notes, take notes, take notes. And then finally it was God that was itching me saying, you know, it's time. Now, when I opened up my own firm, and when I say firm, I'm the solo practitioner, so I'll say when I opened up my own law office, that was February of 2012. But I still worked for the other 2 solo practitioners. So I was still learning from them. These 2 gentlemen, they have been in the legal field for 20, 30 plus years. So I was still learning from them. I was still going to work with them, but I also had my own clientele. So to really answer your question, it was God. It was God, and I was ready to open up my own law office.
There are challenges in every industry. What are some that you have faced as a Black woman in law?
When I walk into court and I am labeled the court reporter or the judge's legal assistant, and I have to let the bailiff know, no, I'm the attorney. And the face that I get, the bailiff that is shocked, how can this Black woman be an attorney? Or when I'm walking in with a Black man, and he could be my colleague, and he is labeled the defendant. And my colleague has to say, no, I'm not the defendant. I'm actually an attorney. But when you see your counterpart that are Caucasian, they don't get that. They don't get that. They're automatically deemed to be the attorney, and then they have to say, no, I'm not the attorney. I'm actually the court reporter. And those are the challenges. And it's bothersome because it doesn't just happen to me. It happens to my other colleagues, you know, or when you have someone that comes in with their attorney as a defendant and the way they're treated by a white bailiff. I'll say by a white bailiff, the way they're treated, you know, you may be a defendant, but you also deserve the utmost respect. You haven't been found guilty, and even if you are found guilty, you still deserve respect. So when I go into these counties, that's what I see. You know, I have to put out there, you know, I am the attorney, or my Black counterpart who is a male has to say, I'm an attorney, I'm not the defendant. You know, at least my law school loans say that I am an attorney. At least when I pass the bar, my bar card says that I am an attorney, and I need to be treated with the utmost respect.
Looking back, what advice would you give your younger self?
What advice would I give my younger self? To pursue your dreams earlier than later, and don't be scared. I was someone that grew up, I would make high grades, but I didn't do well on standardized tests. And I just knew leaving Georgia Southern that all I had to do was write an essay and I would get into law school. One of my girlfriends, who is my mentor, she advised, oh, you know you're gonna have to take the LSAT. The LSAT? What's the LSAT? Oh, the law school admissions test. You talking about the LSAT that's on Legally Blonde? Yes, the LSAT. Oh, I'm not gonna have to take the LSAT. I'll get in with just my grades. And she laughed. Well, yeah. So what I did was I shied away from pursuing law because I was so afraid to take the LSAT. So what I would tell my younger self now is don't be afraid. Just do it. Just do it. There is some school that will accept you for who you are. They will accept your grades and they will accept your LSAT scores. What I did do, and I will say, is I knew I was not good at standardized tests. And what I did was I did a lot of research in regards to students who have the high grades, the high accolades, but they don't do good on standardized tests. And they said, hey, go get a master's degree, go get another degree to prove that you're in this, to prove that you can conquer another degree other than an undergraduate degree. And that's why I pursued my master's degree. And when I did my law school admissions interview, the first thing that the dean of my law school said was, wow, you went and got your master's degree. Your LSAT scores aren't high, but I can see that you did well in undergrad. I can also see that you did well in graduate school. So I don't see law school being an issue for you because you're able to navigate academically. And I don't think you would be a student that would pose the issue with keeping up and doing your work and making high scores and making high grades.
Final question. Are there any people you would like to acknowledge for helping you along your journey?
Well, the first person, of course, is God, because I cried many tears. I cried many tears because I wanted to go to law school, but I was afraid to take the LSAT. I thank my mother because of the sacrifices. My mother actually took out student loans for me to attend law school. And I thank my dad for pushing me. My dad paid for my LSAT classes. My dad paid for my bar exams, my 2 bar exams. He also paid for my bar prep courses. He paid for my car note. He paid for me to live in a nice apartment. He made sure my lifestyle didn't change when I moved to Florida. So I thank my parents and I thank my clients for entrusting me with their cases. I have clients that use their rent money, their mortgage money, their car note money to pay for my services. And I don't take that lightly. I appreciate anyone that has come into my life that has allowed me to open up my own law office and that has entrusted me with their case. I call their cases their babies. And they have entrusted me to do my best job. And I appreciate that. Thank you. To continue this conversation, you can read my story on theboldmaven.com. Subscribe to the Bold Maven newsletter to gain access to their digital magazine.